How about
There
now?
you go. Now it's beautiful. What a beautiful looking sheep.
What a beautiful looking sheep. That's exactly it.
It's amazing
All
what
right.
you can do with a clone, isn't it?
That's right. Let's see. Do you have your video turned on?
Yep, I do now. Well, I just set my
There
thing.
you are.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So how do you want to do this, Kurt? Do you want to just go through the? Katie just said, "But I do it with you," and I said, "No problems." But I'm not sure how we're going to do it, so we'll do it.
Yeah. You know, let's just talk a little bit about anti-aging, and let's talk about this here sheep.
Absolutely.
You know, you're about the same age as I am. You remember when they cloned the sheep, don't you?
I do. Yeah, I've got it. I actually had to look it up, to be quite honest. But I've
Yeah,
got some paperwork. It's quite a few years ago, isn't it?
quite a few
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah, was it in the 90s, was it? Or something like that?
Yeah. Do you remember? Do you know though that Dolly the sheep wasn't the first sheep to be cloned?
No, I see here that they actually tried 277 before Dolly actually became a reality. So isn't that interesting?
Yeah, they tried to use embryonic tissue in the past, and they tried to make a clone. That didn't work either.
No, it seems to me that they ended up using somatic cells, or the cell from a natural cell. So
Yeah, they used this. They used the cells from breast tissue, from female from Dolly's breast tissue.
yeah, it was really quite incredible. But the process they went through to get it was really quite in depth, wasn't it? Like they actually took one female cell, pulled the center out of it, took a cell from another one, put it back in there, and then did some things to it, and then implanted it in another female. So phenomenal.
Yeah,
Ended up with Dolly.
yeah. So it's an interesting thing. And so the experiment really didn't work all that well, did it?
Well, I think they had some difficulties with it, like 277 times, and there's a lot of different things that happened. So, but I think they found through the experiment that they realized that when they'd taken this somatic cell, that it actually brought on another challenge for them, which means that it was an old cell, which I think the Dolly was 6 years old or something, or the one they took it from was 6 years old.
That's right.
So
So the whole experiment, and the way I said it went bad, if you take a cell from me, that cell is 57 years old.
wow. But yeah, I think they actually suddenly realized that, although the new technologies now are actually being able to re-engineer things, aren't they? But in this
That's
case,
right.
they didn't have the technology. So
They didn't have the technology. They didn't, and they just couldn't do it. But yeah, so if you take a cell out of me and you take and make a clone of Kurt, that clone is going to essentially, it's going to look like a baby, but it's going to have 57-year-old DNA.
that's right. Yes, that's correct. Yes,
Right.
I believe they actually now take they exchange the DNA out of the nuclei of a cell, and then they put it with a more up to date one. Is that correct? I think
That's right.
what they're doing now, and so you're getting this where it was 6 years old. Now it's up to date. So
That's right.
the offspring from Dolly, she actually bred at least six. Had sisters, I think 6 of them, and of which had no challenges at all, which is interesting, isn't it? So you have to ask the question, how come they didn't have the same challenges? But then again, that's
But see, the offspring, that's different because now you have a new egg and a new sperm that are coming together to make that cell.
yeah. So it's from that date that they actually look at the cell, isn't it? So
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah. So, the whole thing is that, we've been through the history of the world, we've been looking for the fountain of youth.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. They started looking for the fountain of youth way back in ancient times, and different things, like in Florida, they thought they found the fountain of youth in Florida. I'm sure there's some place in Australia that they, said was the fountain of youth, right?
Possibly, yes, that's possible. I haven't heard of it yet. Probably, there probably is one, but
yeah. I mean, France and Italy and over in the Eastern Europe, I'm sure, they've discovered places that I remember watching a TV program on the Discovery Channel not long ago, and they said that they found that they found this, I don't know, this steam bath, natural hot spring bath, way back in Roman times.
Yeah.
And it was healing, so they called it the Fountain of Youth. And what was interesting, I watched the whole program because I'm into this whole anti-aging. I've been doing this for a long time, and it turned out that this natural hot spring, it gave off hydrogen gas.
Yes, a very important aspect of anti-aging. Yeah.
That's right. And we that we have our own hydrogen a stick product that is it gives us a lot of hydrogen, the most powerful hydrogen product on the market.
It's an unbelievable product, and I was reading more about it, and apparently it being the smallest molecule that we know, it actually has the ability to travel anywhere in the body, the brain cells, any particular cell at all, so it can actually penetrate to the nucleus of the cell. So hydrogen, a highly effective antioxidant, has the ability to help the cell. So
I was reading. I like to read. I mean, I'm sure you're the same way. Being an engineer, that you do the same thing. And I was reading an article. This was a number of years ago when Sizzle introduced their Sizzle hydrogen water machine, and this article said that before you eat anything, before you consume any food, the first thing that you want to do is you want to drink a big, tall glass of water, because your body will actually, it's almost like you're priming the pump for what your body's going to use for energy for the rest of the day. And this article said that if you drink, and they just talked about water, they just said that if you drank water, the body would use hydrogen as the fuel for the brain.
Yeah. Well,
and that was before they even talked about hydrogen water. So my hypothesis at that time was, well, what if you used hydrogen water? So the hydrogen one is even more available than if you were just drinking regular water. So since that time, about 2 years ago, first thing I do every day before I brush my teeth, because toothpaste has a little bit of sweetener, even ours has stevia in it. And so if you before you brush your teeth, before you eat anything, before you have that first cup of coffee, drink a big tall glass of hydrogen water.
Yeah, it's actually very, very good, because I understand that the hydrogen also, like we have biological hydrogen, and I think this hydrogen aids that particular process too. So therefore you get a little bit more energy, or a lot more energy from the hydrogen that we intake. So it's a fantastic product. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, Ian, we were talking about Dolly the sheep, and we kind of digressed over a little bit to talk about hydrogen and things like that. But the nice thing about bringing up Dolly the sheep is that, it's a great introductory tool when you're talking to somebody. If you want to bring up the subject of anti-aging, you start talking about Dolly the sheep, and especially those people that are our age group, our generation, they're going to remember that. The younger group, like your kids and my kids, they might not remember it.
They don't. I asked them today, who was Dolly? They have no idea. So, but they're young. So, but it's interesting to show them the literature and what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So on this quest, there's a big meeting going on in Las Vegas this weekend.
And what's that for?
It's the Revolution Against Aging and Death.
Oh, so how do they,
I went to their meeting a couple of years ago out in San Diego. I wasn't able to make this because I just got back from Our Mountain on Wednesday. But the Revolution Against Aging and Death. And it's interesting when you go to that, the people that you meet. I mean, I met probably 1,000 people at this event, and they some of them are real radical on what they would do. I mean, they're transplanting their head onto another body. They're up for that kind of thing, taking their brain out and putting it into a robot. Transhumanism, things like that. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I want to get into that.
They just need to be introduced to sizzle, Kurt. That's what they need to be introduced to. They don't need to do all that stuff. Yeah. That's what
I said. I said, hey, let me show you something. But so as we're talking about Dolly the sheep and this rad fest and transhumanism and transplanting brains and things like that, Ian, the thing that you and I are doing, and I'm sure a lot of you that are listening to this video, a lot of you that are watching it live right now, please comment on Facebook for us and let us know if you're watching this on YouTube. Comment down in the comment section. But as we look at this, Ian, we both ended up in the same place. We ended up in Sizzle.
Absolutely.
And one of the first products that I was introduced to with Sizzle was a product called TSX.
Yep.
Telomere Support Extreme.
Yes.
What a great product that is.
Absolutely.
And telomeres are the bundle of like the rat's nest at the end, and that's really what it looks like. It looks like a rat's nest on the tips of your chromosomes. They always depict it as looking at these pretty yellow things on the ends of your on the end of your shoelace, but it's really not. It's kind of like a rat's nest, and those telomeres. What happens is that it's like a fuse on the stick of dynamite. When you were conceived by your mom and dad, from that day forth, your telomeres started burning. That fuse was burning a little bit at a time. And when you were in the womb, it burnt pretty fast, right? Because in those 9 months, you burnt up 1/3 of your telomere units.
Yes. Would you start off with about 10,000, don't you, or something, or 50,000?
15,000, yeah. And so when you're born, you only have 10,000.
Yes.
Approximately, right?
Yes. Yep.
And some people are actually born with less. That's why you see some people with premature aging, because it's inherited. And we could talk about that a little bit. But the thing about it is that, Ian, if you could protect those telomere units from the day that you're conceived till the day you die, you could actually extend your life, couldn't you?
That's absolutely right. And there are ways to do it. I think the body has its own protection system, but unfortunately, because of the age process, as you said before, the telomeres diminish over time. But there's a substance or an enzyme called telomerase, which actually the body has in the beginning, which keeps protecting or keeps renewing or can fix the little bits at the end of the the chromosome. So, but unfortunately, as we grow old, this enzyme reduces in capacity. So we end up. I think it's a natural aging process. From what I've read, is that when we replicate a cell, every time it replicates, there's a slight diminishing of the telomere, and it keeps going and it keeps going. Now, this might last, up till you're 80 years of age. It'll just diminish. But as we do that aging, the actual enzymes that protect it also diminish in size, so we don't get that same protection. And I think that's where we find that the Sizzle products, when introduced to the body, they actually aid this process. And I think that's where one of the products we have is the age pill.
Well, getting back, before we move on to the age pill, let's just finish talking about this TSX, this telomere support extreme. Yeah, TSX. So, another way of looking at it, and I'm trying to give people plenty of visuals so that they can get it. Some people can think of terms of a fuse, and other people can think of like the little thing on the end of your shoelace. But think of it like this: if I'm building a bridge over a body of water, and and you're trying to take the bridge down as I'm building it.
Yeah.
If we're building at the same amount of time, if you're taking it down as fast as I'm building it, then essentially I'm not going to get the bridge built.
No.
And that's what most telomere products do, is they're adding a little bit, but the body, the aging process is taking away. And when you're young, like we were talking about, when you're first born, you have 10,000 of these nucleotides. And so when you're young, up until about the age 20, 25, it's kind of like, if you can think of it like this, you're burning 1 day for 1 day. So it's an even ratio. When you get to be 20, 30 years old, it's kind of like you're burning 1 1/3 days for every actual day that you're alive. And then when you get to be 50, it's like 1.5 days for every day that you're alive. When you're 60, it's like 1 3/4. And when you're 70, it's like 2 days. When you get up to 80 or 90, you're burning like 3 days worth of telomeres.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can see that the guy pulling the bridge apart is working faster than the guy putting the bridge up.
Yes.
And
true.
So what TSX essentially does, it assists the guy, it assists the part of your body that's building. And so they found that with products like this, that you can actually get ahead of the game, and you can reverse it to a certain extent.
Mm.
And that's what the TSX does, is it's helping the bridge building guy building that bridge faster than the guy tearing it down. And so again, another analogy that people can use. I just thought of it as we were talking, but that people can use, that they can visualize it, because you get a visual picture of it, and all of a sudden you can explain it to other people. If you can't visualize it, you're going to have an awful hard time explaining it. So now when we start talking about the age pill, the AGE pill, right? The anti-glycation extreme, what that product does is it supports the stem cells. And the stem cells are those repair guys in your body. They're the ones that repair damaged cells. They replace the old age cells. And so we look at things like, I was reading a study about telomeres, and they were saying that if you can enhance the telomeres, they can actually see, there was a study that showed that they could actually see the body rebuilding and making new brain stem cells.
Mm. Yeah.
So combined with the age pill, and tell a little bit about the age pill.
The age pill, it's actually a product that has been created by Tom for glycation. It removes the sludge helps remove the sludge from the inner cell. So it allows the cell to work more efficiently, I would imagine. Is that correct?
So wouldn't it be like going out and changing the oil in your car?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it
makes your engine run more efficiently because you have clean oil.
Yep, that would be a good analogy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the age pill kind of does the same thing for your body, clean out the old sludgy oil, clean up the sticky, gooey, gummy sugar mess that we leave in our body.
Yeah, true. So that leaves the cell more efficient in its operation. So very good.
That's right.
Yeah.
And being a background in engineering, that's important, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah, for what I used to do. Yeah, no sludge anywhere. No, that was my background was not so much in the medical field, but in electronic engineering, so electrical engineering. So
that's right.
Yes.
Well, I mean, think about electronic engineering, right? I mean, our nervous system works a lot like electronics.
It does. The energy system we have in our body is extremely important. I don't think we'd be alive without it. So we have to keep that up and running carefully. And I think that the cells, the communication is both chemical and electrical. So very important that all happens in the right order. But
electricity, you're pushing electrons down a wire, whatever the wire happens to be made out of. It could be tin, it could be copper, it could be, gold, whatever. And And in the body, you're not pushing electrons, but you're pushing other ions like calcium and sodium down a channel. So it kind of works in the same way. And so when you're working with electricity, when you're working with a computer, I mean, if you were going to make a really expensive computer, would you solder the pieces together with tin, or would you use gold?
Well, you'd use probably a gold. I know when we were doing the space program, they were gold.
Yeah, why?
Because there's no corrosion. There's no the ability to maintain itself in space was very important.
Yeah, it could transfer those electrons faster too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the same thing in your body. If you're making your nervous system of something that won't conduct electricity very fast, and you create that sludge in the cell.
Yeah, you definitely don't work too well, do you?
It doesn't work very well at all. It doesn't work very well. I was reading an article today. I'm going to bring this up. I've already posted on Facebook. I don't know if you saw my page. Maybe Margaret saw it. But did you know that all these foods that we eat, if we go out to eat at a typical, let's say you go to a Chinese restaurant and you have sweet and sour chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that you have to take 39,000 milligrams of omega-3 to balance out the bad fat that was found in the one order of sweet and sour chicken?
Are you talking about omega-6 or?
Omega-6.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. We need omega-6, but yet we overindulge in omega-6, and that's
you have to balance it out. They say that you should balance it out 4-to-1. So for every 4 milligrams of omega-6, you should have 1 milligram of omega-3.
Mm.
And in the United States, I'm sure it's pretty close in Australia too. But in the United States, they're saying that the typical diet is a ratio of 16-to-1.
Yeah, it could be the same here. We fast food outlets and all that sort of stuff. That's probably true.
Yeah. So that's going to create more of this sludge that you and I were talking about, this lipofuscin that sludges up the system.
Correct.
The other thing that it does is it creates a chronic inflammatory state throughout your entire body, like a systemic inflammation. That's what omega-6 does.
Yeah. Yes. Does that have anything to do with like arthritis and all things like that?
So it's going to create arthritis. It's going to create Crohn's disease, allergies, autoimmune conditions, Alzheimer's, heart attacks, strokes, all those things, and plus a lot more.
Yeah. Yes. It's. I suppose that's where Tom's product, that omega,
the super omega
is probably very beneficial. Has a balance.
Because it's got that balance. It's got the balance of omega-3s and 6s, 7s, 5s, 9s. It's got a balance of them all. Plus, it's got the CoQ10 to help kind of balance things out even more.
Yeah, well, coenzyme Q10 seems to be an essential part of the cardiovascular system, so that would certainly help in that area.
I remember when I went to a seminar years ago, probably 20 years ago, Ian, and they said at that seminar that you should take as much CoQ10 as you could get your hands on.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were saying that we really needed it, and that was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I understand that the depletion of coenzyme Q10 in many people, I think specifically the ladies, is that some of the statin drugs that are being consumed now diminish that from your body or somehow reduce it. So it's really important to get your coenzyme Q10,
when you're on a statin drug, any of the statin drugs, like the levelstatin or any of those, they what they'll do is they'll create a problem with the CoQ10 metabolism in your body. Yeah. So and you know what happens when you have a lack of CoQ10?
Tell me.
Congestive heart failure.
Oh, wow. Serious problem. A serious problem.
That's right. So a drug that's treating a symptom, because high cholesterol isn't actually a disease, it's a symptom.
Yeah.
They treat it, and that creates a disease called congestive heart failure.
Okay.
Amazing, isn't it?
It's truly amazing. So what products do we use? What are the products that are used for bringing our cells to life again from the sizzle range? H2 sticks?
To bring it back to life, you mean from?
Well, people sometimes present being tired, no energy, lethargic, aches and pains and whatever else. And really, it's just plain old tired, and feel worn out. So no real medical condition, but so what product would be really beneficial for that type of person to actually feel the difference by removing all these different sludges, the TSX product that'll help with the telomeres and whatever else. So what gives us that energy, improved energy?
Well, there's a number of products, and so I think that almost anything could help almost anybody. That's why there's products on the market that aren't worth a penny, but they still help some people because there might be that one little thing in there that helps. In my opinion, in my professional opinion, I would say that because we've got so much of this inflammation created by the omega-6s, the number one product that if you want to give somebody a product, you want to say, hey, Ian, take this and you're going to feel the difference. Fucoidan.
Yeah.
I used to make a guarantee with people. I'd say, here, take a bottle of this and take a dose every day.
Yep.
And in a month, in 30 days, when that bottle's gone, if you don't have some change in your body, give me the empty bottle back and I'll give you your money back.
All right. So effective.
That's how effective it was. And I'll still do that with people. I'll still tell them, hey, try this product. If you don't feel any change, give me the empty bottle. I'll help you out. I'll get your money back. And I actually take it out of my pocket and I give them their $50 back on the bottle. But when the age pill came out, I started doing the same thing, Ian. And I said, you take this product for 3 months, a double dose, so 6 bottles. If in the matter of 3 months of taking that in a double dose, if you don't notice a difference, if you say, hey, I want my money back, I'll give you your money back. And to date, I've never had anybody ask for their money back. Now, I made a stipulation that you had to take the product. I mean, if you let it sit in a shelf and you skip 3 days of every week, yeah, you were, the guarantee was void. And how I did that was, I could tell if you were taking the product because at the end of the 30 days, I'd say, Ian, how many pills do you have left?
Correct. Yeah. Yes.
And if you said, well, I have 10 left, I'd say, oh, okay. So you missed 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't work if you're not taking it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, kind of getting back to our subject, anti-aging. So it's interesting, right? We remove the inflammation with omega-3s. So you use one good fat to balance out the bad fat, right?
Right.
We use the age pill to remove the sludge out of the system. We use the TSX to add length to our fuse of life, right? To the bridge of life, whatever you want to call it. And so here we've got some great products. And what about eternity? Where does resveratrol fit?
Well, resveratrol is an extremely powerful antioxidant, isn't it? Yeah.
It's an antioxidant. But the other thing that resveratrol does, you've heard of these sirtuin genes?
The aging gene?
Yep, the sirtuin, the SIRT1 specifically.
SIRT1, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so do you know the function of the SIRT1 gene?
No, please tell me.
All right. Hopefully you don't feel like I'm throwing you under the bus or anything. I'm just, I get in these conversations with myself and since you're here with me, I'm going to get in this conversation with you, right?
Yeah, please just, I'll tell you if I know and I won't tell you if I don't. So
perfect. Yeah. Don't get mad at me if I ask you a question you don't know.
I just appreciate your knowledge. So
yeah. So the SIRT1 gene, the function of the SIRT1 gene is to repair damaged DNA. right?
Yeah.
And we all have damaged DNA. I mean, every time you turn on your plasma TV, guess what happens to the electronics in that TV? They age, right? From having electricity. Your TV is designed to only handle so many heat units.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you were in electronic engineering. So it's designed to eventually wear out.
Yes, it does eventually. Yeah, it takes a long time, but it will wear out.
But if you go buy a $40 TV versus a $2,000 TV, the big difference from what I understand when I was shopping for TVs, I always have to ask all these questions, and I put it up here in my memory bank. But they said, well, the big difference is the heat units.
Well, I don't think that's exactly true, but you can buy a cheap one, but it's the quality that you're getting in it as far as the screen resolution or something like that.
Right. I mean, you get different resolutions, but the actual electronics can handle that, and I know you're an engineer and this is what they've told me. But so it's designed to handle so many heat units and then it basically overheats and it wears out. But, so when you look at your cells, we're damaged by radiation, UV radiation. We're damaged by, our cells are damaged by toxins, whatever they happen to be, whether it's Roundup, glyphosate, whether it's lead or mercury or fluoride, things like that. So what it does is it damages the DNA, right? And when you have a damaged DNA, it'd be like one example is you take part of the DNA out and you replace it with something else that's not supposed to be there.
Yes.
And so the function of the SIRT1 gene is to go in there and repair that, or to signal the body, to signal the stem cells, take this guy out, get this guy to commit suicide.
Yeah.
The cell, not talking about people, but get the cell to commit suicide, called apoptosis. And so that's what resveratrol does, is it supports the SIRT1 gene function to get this to happen. Isn't that cool?
That's excellent. Yeah. Because resveratrol is an interesting product, isn't it, or a substance, because it's not readily absorbed. It has to have some special condition for it to get to where it has to go. Because it's from what I've read, it's
and so most resveratrol products on the market really don't work.
No, they get chewed up in the stomach. So or something like that.
Well, even before you even consume it, they found that a lot of resveratrol products, they're highly oxidized.
Yeah.
So that by the time you actually consume it, by the time you buy it off the shelf at the store, take it home and consume it, it's already been oxidized. 90% of the good stuff with the resveratrol is already gone.
Yes. Yeah.
Before you even put it in your mouth.
So that means that our product has some special processing condition to maintain its efficacy. Is that right? So
Tom's figured out how, and he's patented a way of taking that resveratrol and taking the fresh resveratrol from the grapes, because it comes from grapeseed, and putting it into a bottle in a liquid form and reverse filling the bottle with nitrogen first, so that the resveratrol is never exposed to oxygen till you take the cap off that bottle.
Yeah, that's a excellent way of doing it, isn't it? Like you're going to get
perfect.
It's perfect.
Yeah, and so they're working on a way of making that into a way of making it so that it's a powder.
Wow, absolutely amazing. That'd be great.
Wouldn't it?
Fantastic. It would be. Yeah.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
Who knows when that'll show up? I mean, maybe it'll be, a year, 3 years, 5 years. I don't know. But you got to be able to preserve the integrity of that resveratrol product. Right.
Absolutely.
And then, so, share a little bit of information on Mauer Mountain. When I was at Mauer Mountain this last Saturday, a week ago, Tom spent about 2 hours talking about his new product.
Was that the bomb or?
Well, now he doesn't know if he's going to call it the bomb.
Yeah.
because some of the other staff are saying, oh, you can't call it that. But, so right now he's just calling it XXXX.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Right? Because he just doesn't have a name for it.
Yeah.
But the whole idea about the bomb or this XXXX product is to take out all those damaged cells that we were just talking about, the cells that they've somehow been damaged beyond repair.
Yep. Yes.
Whether it's from age, maybe they're old aging cells, or maybe they're cells that got hit with radiation and it damaged part of the DNA. And what happens is because of toxins like pesticides, which affect the estrogen and the hormones and things like that, what it does is it makes the cells so they don't hear the signal anymore. And your brain may be telling these old, dead, dying cells, get out of the way, commit suicide and get out of there. But what happens is the cell doesn't hear the message. It hears blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And so what the bomb or XXXX is going to do is it's going to basically go in there, and it's going to be like a firing squad. It's going to go, take it out. Right? You guys know what that is. That's me shooting a gun, but.
You're hunting there, yes. So we're talking about senescence now, aren't we?
Senescent cells.
Yes, yes. So these senescent cells, if they don't get removed, what happens then, Kurt?
So what happens to these old, dead, dying cells is they run around in your body, and they're called, like you could call them a free radical. And what does a free radical do?
It actually damages other cell structures by removing electrons from there and here and whatever. So
that's right. So it steals an electron from this cell. So it'd be like I reach over and pluck an electron from Ion, right? And now you're an Ion negative, right? Or
so
Ion. So if I've stolen if I steal an electron, you're an Ion positive, right?
Well, you're looking for another one, yes.
So now you're the free radical. So now Ian's the free radical. And so Ian goes and finds somebody like Margaret and steals an electron from Margaret, your wife. And now all of a sudden Margaret is the free radical.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. So that's the problem with these old, dead, dying cells. That's the problem with them. So you want to get rid of them.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? How do you get rid of them?
Yeah, so that's what the bomb's going to do, right? And then on top of it, so we can actually bring, this is what I was saying earlier, we have the premier anti-aging company. We've got the products, because now we look at SpectrumX. Where does that fit in this whole thing?
From my understanding of SpectrumX, it's a very broad spectrum product with minerals and vitamins and things like that. So it's going to supply all the necessary nutrition for this to happen. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's got 40 antioxidants in it. Yeah. So like we were talking about, if I steal an electron from Ian, and he steals one from Margaret, and Margaret steals one from this person and that person and that person. So what antioxidants do is they get that to stop. But if I get it to stop at a certain position, what about all the other positions beyond that? It doesn't stop it.
Mm.
And so what they found is that you have to have over 30 of these different antioxidants working at the exact same time to stop it to the point to where the free radical is so weak, it can't damage the body anymore.
Okay, so you're stopping a chain reaction from happening.
Yeah. And if you go look at most mineral products that are on the market, most mineral products don't have that.
No.
Most vitamins, minerals, you'll see one or two antioxidants. They throw it on the label. They say, oh, we got antioxidants.
Yep.
Not enough.
Not enough, no.
So
those Yeah, those three products are amazing, Kurt. The trio,
right?
excellent.
Yeah, you really look at all the products that we have, and they just all work together to make the body healthier. And it's not going to stop with the bomb. We're going to have more products and more products because, I mean, Tom's goal is he wants to live, and he said this last weekend. I mean, if he can come up with a way of living to be 250 years old, he wants it.
I'm with him, actually. I'm with him on that one. So that'll be fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah. 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 So we go back to what we were originally talking about with Dolly the sheep.
Yeah.
Right. And again, it's kind of, why are we trying to figure out clones? Well, we're trying to figure out, how do we stop the disease? How do we stop the aging process? And we've got it right here. We don't have to clone you, Ian.
I'm really pleased about that because I don't think my wife would really like a clone of me.
Well, you never know.
One's enough.
One Ian's enough.
One's enough.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I'm going to live to 250. I don't need a clone of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's all, I love it. I don't want to live to be 250 years old. I mean, that's not really, not in my wheelhouse anything that I want to do, but I do want to live to be 110.
Yeah. Well, that'd be a nice, I think living longer is that you must have all the necessary, things to go with it, like extreme health, good health, prosperity and good living conditions. So, what happens in 250 years from now? Well, that's something that's beyond our control, but we'll see what happens.
See
what happens.
And you just said a couple key things, couple key points that when I talk to people, I say, what do you need if you wanted to live to be, ripe old age, whatever it happens to be, 80, 90, 100, 110, what do you need? Well, like you said, you need your health, but what else do you need? You need money.
Absolutely.
You need money because if you get sick, you can have a fundraiser, you can throw a benefit, you can raise money. Even your insurance company will give you money if you're sick.
Yeah.
But if you're healthy, go ask your buddy, just say, hey, I want to live to be 250 years old. Could you give me $100?
Yeah. Good point.
Right. So that's why I love the fact that Sizzle is a network marketing company. It's a multi-level marketing company. I love the fact of that because I can hang out here. I'm hanging out with you. And when I go to Australia, I love hanging with you and your family because you're on the same wavelength, right? So I can share this information with you. You can share it with your friends.
Absolutely.
And they can share it with their friend. And all of a sudden, we make 7%, which it's not a huge amount of money. Like people, like I had one gal, I was telling her about our business and she said, oh, well, I make 50%. I said, yeah, but you only make 50% on the sales that you make yourself.
Yeah.
The beauty of this industry is that I can share this with Katie. Katie shares it with Trevor. Trevor shares it with you. You share it with Bob. All of a sudden, we're making 7% on that whole thing. We're not making a lot on each person. We're making a little bit.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're getting your products for free. Nothing wrong with that.
No. Brilliant.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
So I love it. I love it, Ian. I love what we're doing. And anti-aging is so cool. I mean, I love feeling younger. And it's just amazing stuff. And people say, oh, that's a bunch of hogwash. That's a bunch of quackery and that. And I go, hey, look, Mayo Clinic's getting into the game.
I noticed I was doing some reading, but they're actually taking a different tack. I think you mentioned it earlier on. They want to do it as a chemo product. Well, that sort of rings bells, doesn't it? Like having seen what chemo does. So yeah, maybe not.
But
yeah.
So their whole idea behind using chemo, I've read up on their study. So their whole idea is that they're saying that the chemo will knock out the weak cells.
What else does it do?
Well, it sometimes knocks out healthy cells.
Well, it does now, doesn't it? Like the
That's
way
right.
they use it. Yeah.
Did you ever watch Cheers, the TV show Cheers?
I've watched occasionally. Yeah, occasionally.
With but you remember Cliff Clavin?
Vaguely, yeah.
So Cliff Clavin, he said, and we'll end our webinar with this and with your thoughts on this. But Cliff Clavin, he said that so beer is anti-aging.
It is to a point.
Right? And he said beer is anti-aging because when you drink beer, what it does is it helps kill off the weak cells in the brain. So then by taking the weak cells out, it gives you room for your healthy cells to grow.
Is that right?
But he's wrong because beer isn't discriminatory like that. It doesn't just take out the weak cells. It takes out all the cells.
It does. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. But
it's
the theory was good. The theory was good when you say take out the weak cells so the healthy cells can survive. And that's basically what we're doing with the bomb that'll be coming out.
Yes. Yeah.
We'll have to share it with Cliff Clavin.
Absolutely. Yeah. He needs to be given the right message.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you thought we should talk about, Ian?
No, I think that was probably what we covered. From what I got from Katie, it was just the anti-aging, and I was not really that well prepared. I'm sorry about that, but
man, we had a great discussion. I'm sure everybody that's on the call would say the same thing. They're going to say they enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, I hope they did. But I've learned a lot. Thank you from your discussion, and it's nice to talk to you. Great.
Always fun and to see you when we're talking. I love electronics. Back in the 70s, I was in high school yet, and I was bored with high school, so I started taking classes on computer programming, and I turned out I was pretty good at it. But it was back in the days of the computer punch card. You remember them?
Oh yes, yeah. That's going back a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had trays and trays and trays of punch cards, and just to get the computer to arrange a list of names in alphabetical order, it took trays and trays of cards. And I remember when the dean of the computer science lab, he said, Kurt, he said, you're pretty good at this. You should actually go into computer science.
And you didn't?
I said, computers are going nowhere. That was my comment. And here we are talking across the globe, looking at each other's face.
Yes. There's some amazing things being done.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Ian. Thanks for being here. Everybody that's watching, thanks for being here with us. And if you're watching the video and let us know what you're thinking. So, Ian, have a great day.
Have a great night.
Yeah. We'll say cheers.
Cheers. Good day, mate. Goodbye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.